Microsoft Lumia 640 XL, good budget phablet. I won't bore you with details like specs and apps that other online reviews have already gone over with the Lumia 640 XL. There's a decent one on Wired. You have to know what you're getting and not getting with Windows Phone. If the apps you absolutely need are there, chances are you'll like it more. There is a lot of confusion among the various 640 XL versions: single SIM, dual SIM, LTE that supports USA LTE bands, LTE that do not support USA LTE bands. Please note that only RM1064, RM1065, and RM1096 have been confirmed to support USA LTE. This review is based on RM1096. For the most part, will apply to all versions. I'll just add a few things that I've noticed coming from a Nokia Lumia 1520 and Lumia 925. Also, I have two of these phones for over 6 months now in daily usage. Pros: 5.7-inch screen. This seems like a perfect compromise from the 6-inch Lumia 1520, which has a well-known touch sensitivity issue. Touch and scrolling are accurate. The on-screen keyboard for touch typing seems more accurate, and the size does wonders for GPS navigation and watching pictures and movies. I will not go back to anything less than 5.5 inches. Responsive glance screen. Double tap to wake. Some Lumia glance screens have stubborn response. This one doesn't. Works well. Overall stable and responsive. In fact, the entire phone seems more stable and responsive than any Lumia I've had, even more than the 1520. Maybe it is the fine-tuning not just for the OS WP 8.1 update 2, but also the lower-level firmware, reliable Wi-Fi, including internet sharing, USA Mobile. Typical Lumia offline GPS lock time is still almost instantaneous. Excellent. However, I've run into a bug with GPS mentioned in the cons section: 128 GB plus SD card expansion. This feature is increasingly rare. Yes, there is a cloud, but when everything is local on the SD card, everything is much faster and takes less battery power. Clear call quality both ways. Removable cover and battery. This feature is also increasingly rare. Almost all apps are removable. Minimal bloatware. Nokia-like build quality. Neutral. 720 HD is a noticeable downgrade from full 1080 HD. Coming from the Lumia 1520, you realize 1080 HD is a necessity to see straight lines on an angle without jaggedness, especially text. Also, although both the 1520 and 640 XL are IPS LCDs with clear black filters, the 640 XL's display lacks the saturation and color depth of the 1520. 1GB RAM is okay. 2GB would be better. 3GB ideal. 4GB. Well, you get the idea. Decent battery life. With a lower resolution and slightly smaller screen, I was expecting better battery life from the 640 XL compared to the 1520, even though the 1520 stores slightly more juice, 3000 mAh versus 3400 mAh. However, real-world usage has shown almost identical battery life. Processor speed is okay. Snapdragon 400 is decent. Light and basic tasks are done responsively, which I guess is the most important. However, anything processor or graphics intensive will take noticeably longer or hesitant/jerky compared to the Lumia 1520. For example, browsing maps in 3D is not a smooth experience. Games can take a very long time to load, etc. Cons: low-end camera module. Don't be fooled by the Zeiss name and Lumia camera heritage. The camera module in this phone and the photo output is noticeably low-end. It is a clear downgrade from the 1520, and what surprised me was that it is also a downgrade from the 925. Pictures come out dull without nearly enough saturation, lack sharpness in general, and indoor or any setting that's not bright blue sunny day comes out grainy and details smudged.
Low quality output from rear speaker, speakerphone and media output. Small size even by phone standards, about 8-9mm in width, and curiously located next to the camera lens. The tiny speaker is difficult to hear and negatively impacts speakerphone clarity. Ringer volume on Lumia 1520 was more than sufficient at volume 2. To get an equivalent on the 640 XL I'm at volume 4 or 5. Wish Lumias would take a page from the Surface tablet and HTC to place the speakers on the front of the phone. Low output from ear speaker, referring to the speaker at the front top part of the phone where the ear is pressed against for regular phone calls. It appears Microsoft also cheaped out on this speaker. I don't consider myself to have bad ear sensitivity-wise, but the in-call volume is regularly set to 9 or 10 out of 10. Those making outdoors calls often or with lower ear sensitivity might have issues with this. I really wish review sites will measure dB output of ear and speakerphone speakers for a consistent way to measure this. No dedicated camera button. Use this often on the 1520 for instant camera access. Miss it. No wireless charging. Yes, would gladly add 1mm thickness and some weight for this convenience. Native photo and music apps are frustrating, always have been for Windows Phone. This is more related to Windows Phone. Thought I might mention it just in case you're coming from Android or iOS. Sometimes the photo app will freeze as it refreshes the picture index, apparently done at seemingly random times. And the music app just can't seem to sync playlists with the PC correctly. For example, it will say it can't find the music on the phone, or vice versa on the PC, even though the music was copied to the phone. Note, as mentioned, it is critical for USA users to get version RM1064, RM1065, or RM1096 for LTE connectivity. Bands used in the USA are 700 MHz. 1700, and 1900 by AT&T and Mobile. On Mobile and Nike, using Microsoft's network speed test, I am sometimes able to get up to 29 Mbps download, very rare, mostly average 6-19 Mbps download, which is in line with LaptopMag.com's March 2014 LTE testing. Conclusion: the Lumia 640 XL is really a low-end budget phone. The only reason it's above $200 is because of the screen size. Many people compare it to other phones in the same price class that have smaller screens. This is not fair. A larger screen simply costs more. If specs and processing power is priority at this price point, there are plenty faster phones, albeit with smaller screens. For those coming from Android or iOS, please keep expectations realistic. I have an iPhone 6 Plus and I'm a Windows phone is not as refined as iOS, but then again, it doesn't cost anywhere near an iPhone 6 Plus unlocked. For Android users used to high specs, Windows Phone here is responsive for the basic functions, and probably works smoother and more consistently for basic functions than Android. However, it is a Snapdragon 400, so anything that requires some processor power is going to be slower if you're used to a Snapdragon 600 or higher. As long as expectations are realistic, the balance of a superb screen size, stability, memory expandability, adequate performance, and price, works well for me. P.S. Some have compared this with an Asus Zenfone 2. Like with any value phone, one must ask where the compromises are. Start with build quality. In general, the plastic Asus uses just looks and feels cheap, something Wired also harped on in their review. Then ask how the overall user experience is regardless of the specs. It might help browsing Asus own forums, http://www.asus.com/zentalk/forum.php?mod equals from display $FID equals 88. Not that the Lumia 640 XL is perfect either, but sometimes too much emphasis is placed on the specs, without enough consideration for the overall experience, for example battery life, camera performance, and bloatware, which is nowhere near the 640 XL's.